But as a whole, I thought the movie was so juvenile, so silly. Like for those people that are like, it didn't age well, and this was so wrong, and this is misogynistic. All I have to say is, what are you gonna do?
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
All right. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Jesus. I'm going to try that again. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. I'm very excited because we are going to preview Revenge of the Nerds.
Yay!
Yay!
I hope I'm still saying yay after we watch it.
What do you remember about Revenge of the Nerds?
Weirdly enough, quite a bit. Because I watched it not super recently, but fairly recently, probably 10-ish years ago. It was on TV. So I remember.
Was it edited for TV or was it?
It was edited for TV. So I remember the nerds. They are my favorites. Anthony Edwards is adorable. And it's a lot of not safe for work stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like titty jokes, boob jokes. There's the frat that's really shitty. And for years I have said, whenever I'm talking about frat houses or whatever, I'm like, lambda, lambda, lambda. It's ingrained in my brain. I remember loving this movie and I remember laughing a lot. I think later on, I was kind of like, oh, that's
problematic.
An off-color joke. Yeah, there's some problematic stuff in there. And that's from 10 years ago. And I've continued on my journey to recognize problematic things. So I'm probably going to find more problematic stuff. But I still laughed.
I recognize problematic things. I don't think I care as much as some people, but the big stuff I do. I walk around quoting this when I see like my kids reading or doing something, and I just yell at them, nerds. Like nerds, like Ogre. Nerds. And they're looking at me like, I'm not a nerd.
They're like, what is wrong with you?
This was, again, summers at grandparents, and my uncle had his collection of movies. This was one that I took every time. Mm-hmm. And then when we got our HBO and all that stuff, whenever it came on. So I watched this, I don't know how many times, but the last time would have been the 90s, sometime in the 90s. Okay. I don't know why I haven't seen it. One, it's just not, I hate watching edited for TV.
Understandable.
And it's not streaming everywhere. It's not on the big ones like Netflix. But yeah, I remember so much from this movie. Even though it's been the 90s, I remember Booger. I remember our two main nerds and Poindexter and Lamar, the gay guy.
God, Lamar, I love him.
I remember, what are the Moo girls? The Moo Pie? Moo Pie?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember the some of the things like when they set up the cameras, which might be problematic now, but with the big line where we've got Bush, which one of the DVDs in early 2000s was the We've Got Bush edition, special edition.
But of course, you should always have that special edition. Yeah, there's some problematic stuff in here where you're just like, oh, geez. But I mean, within the story, like the cameras itself, problematic. Within the story, makes sense. Also, mid 80s.
Yes.
There's going to be some super objectification of women. You just got to be ready for it. And
I'm hoping that's so silly and ridiculous that it's not as offensive as I'm probably still going to laugh.
Yeah.
John Goodman.
John
The-
Goodman. Oh
The
God.
main jock guy from
Yes.
Married with Children.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was
Honestly, there are so many people in this movie, and to this day, every time I see Curtis Armstrong, I'm like, it's Booger. Because okay, on Supernatural, Curtis Armstrong plays
one of the gods, does he? Or an angel.
no, he plays an angel. Oh God, Metatron, who's the scribe of God. Anyways, the second he shows up, I'm like, Booger.
Nerd.
The
Who's being a
first thing-
nerd?
he was still being a nerd. God bless.
I'm talking about
Literally.
you.
I'm also a giant nerd. I have no problem with that. I have
Quoting
said it
all this.
from the time that I was like 4 years old, well, 3 years old, and I started reading. I was like, I'm a big giant nerd. I'm cool with it. It's cool. But anyways, I remember this movie though also. Like the actors in the movie are burned in my brain
Yeah.
as their characters.
Yeah. The character. Oh, yeah. It was hard not to see
Yeah.
Curtis Armstrong as not Booger. And I just doing this, I watched an interview with him. He fought to get the name changed. He didn't want his character to be called Booger. And he said there was stuff that he didn't want Booger to do. He realized that it was just the character and
Yeah. He was
because
just
before even Revenge of the Nerds, he was a classically trained actor.
yeah.
Like he was doing Shakespeare and he was doing he's Booger. And it kind of typecast him for a while as
It did.
like Better Off Dead. He was the weirdo friend. And
Yeah.
but well, they made 4 Revenge of the Nerd movies. So
I mean, God bless.
all right. Let's take a look at the box office. July 20th, 1984, it was released on a budget of $8 million and it grossed $40.8 million.
Wow. That's a good
not
return.
bad. And this is of note. It opened at number 11. It didn't even open up at 10 behind Ghostbusters, Best Defense, which just opened that same day, Gremlins, Never Ending Story, which opened that same day, The Karate Kid, The Last Starfighter, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks, which I remember loving that as well, Conan the Destroyer, but ahead of Cannonball Run 2, which was in like its 8th week, and Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which was in its like 11th week. All those movies
Okay, you
are
know what?
amazing.
I was like, when you were like, it opened number 11, I was like, oh God. And then I see Ghostbusters, Gremlins, Never Ending Story, The Karate Kid, The Last Starfighter, Muppets Take Manhattan, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Conan I was like, well, of course you're going to be 11.
Could you imagine going to the movie theaters and going, oh, I don't know what to watch?
You'd literally have to go to the movie theater for reals 11 times.
Yeah, easy.
Because I would want to watch every single one of these movies.
So it opened at number 11. The following weekend, it dropped to 13, and the weekend after that to number 12. The theater, I went up to number 12. The theater average was so good, they added more screens, and by the time the 4th weekend came around, it was at number 4 and stayed in the top 10 for the next 7 weeks. It only opened at 380 some odd theaters. And it was the ratio of the theaters that had it was making so much money or decent enough money that everyone else was like, we want this movie in our theaters. And it jacked up to like 900 and something. So it kept going up.
Also, we should probably point out, like in the 80s, movie theaters were it wasn't just one big chain across the country or 2 big chains.
Yeah,
a lot of the theaters were individually owned, and it was up to the owner what movies they would purchase to like show. So like this is a big thing if it starts in a small amount of theaters and then it goes to like a bigger amount.
Yes.
It's not like now where it's like AMC and then everybody or Cineplex. No, it's very different.
Yeah.
The 80s,
yeah, very different.
Crazy time.
But I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so
That's super cool.
Oh, you know what we didn't do? I just realized.
What do we not do?
Of our last show. Because I have it here. We didn't look at the poster.
It's okay.
Oh, well. All right. Let's go to the tail of the tape. 1984, Revenge of the Nerds. There's our VHS copy for those that watch us on YouTube. It's a comedy, just a straight up comedy, rated R, and comes in at 1 hour and 30 minutes exactly. A very standard, easy, light 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah. Those were the days. Because I remember explaining to someone that in order to be considered a feature film, it needed to be 80 minutes long, so an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's why we always associate an hour and 30 minutes with like, because they'll add a little on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just a little bit of story.
just a little bit.
Taglines. They've been laughed at, picked on, and put down, but now it's time for the odd to get even. Their time has come.
Okay, if they didn't have their time has come, this would be a much better tagline. Still not great,
No.
but decent.
The time has come for Revenge of the Nerds. Let the battle begin.
No, that's too clunky.
That's it.
Those were terrible.
Yeah.
Who did that?
Synopsis. Okay. Geeky college students Gilbert, for those listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing it. For those listening, it's a big picture of Ogre screaming.
Yes.
That's why we're laughing. Geeky college students Gilbert, Anthony Edwards, and Lewis, Robert Carradine, are evicted from their dormitory when the Alpha Betas, who recently burned down their own fraternity house by accident, confiscate the building. When the college forces the freshmen to live in the gym, Gilbert, Lewis, and their fellow dorks relocate to a rundown house. When the Alpha Betas, led by Jock Stan, Ted McGinley, that's what I was thinking of, repeatedly humiliate them, and then the nerds plot revenge.
I just like to point out that I never realized they were called the Alpha Betas. And I appreciate that so
Yeah, that
much.
was pretty funny. And the poster, very iconic.
Yep.
Up top, it says they've been laughed at, picked on, and put down, but now it's time for the odd to get even. And then it has Revenge of the Nerds in the big rock chiseled out. Their time has come. Pillars. You have the two nerds, two girls hanging off them, and they're stepping on the three jocks, including Ogre and the main guy. And then all the stuff underneath written. Yeah, if you liked Revenge of the Nerds, it's a great poster.
Yeah, it's a classic poster, and it gives you all the details of the story in like one hit. So you're like, oh yeah, the nerds get revenge.
Yes. All right. Let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. 41 critic reviews. This movie comes in at a very surprised me, 71%.
I am shocked. I
was too. I was not expecting that. 50,000 plus audience reviews comes in at 73%. So critics and audience liked it pretty much the same.
That is shocking.
Gotta remember, a lot of these probably are reviews from a while ago. I'm sure there are newer ones and new ones, but probably a lot of them are from a while ago.
Yeah.
Critic consensus, undeniably lowbrow but surprisingly sly. Revenge of the Nerds has enough big laughs to qualify as a minor classic in the slobs versus snobs subgenre.
I'm ready.
All right, we'll start with Ron. You go first. This I wanted to show how there are people that love this movie. So this is 10 out of 10. We'll take turns. You can go first, though.
I'm ready.
Oh, wait.
Do you want to read this one?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was thinking of IMDb. I apologize.
Oh,
So
what, the
you go
10 out of
first.
10? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry. If you've seen Porky's, Animal House, DC Cab, or Police Academy, you've seen Nerds. And if you liked the prototypes, you'll like the latest of the genre. Low humor and all. Belching, mooning, panty raids, peeping at girls, and booger jokes. Rita Kempley, Washington Post, original score not available. I mean, she pretty much spells it out, which I appreciate.
And I would like all those movies. Porky's, Animal House, DC Cab, and Police Academy. Have not seen them in a
I
long
remember
time.
liking Porky's. I haven't seen since like
been a while.
Probably the early 90s. Same thing with Animal House. I don't think I've ever seen DC Cab.
DC Cab is with Gary Busey, Mr. T.
I have not seen it.
Oh no, maybe we should watch that. It's got a lot of comedy people, and it's
okay.
Like,
put it
again,
on
it's
the
an
list.
R-rated, yeah. But Mr. T's in it. It's awesome.
I love Police Academy.
Oh, I love Police Academy.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I liked all of them. Right up until I didn't watch them I didn't go out of my way to want to watch them after number 4, 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And number 4, Citizens on Patrol. Number 3 was the introduction, or not the introduction, was when the little nerdy guy
Yeah.
on the moped is joining, and so is Bobcat Goldthwait's gang guy. And number 2 obviously is Bobcat Goldthwait was the big bad.
Yep.
They're so dumb. But number 1, hands
dumb.
down, the
Oh,
best. Yeah. Yeah, we should watch any of those. It would be great. Although the time period may feel ambiguous, its message of everyone feeling like an outsider and just wanting to belong is universal. Scott Nash, 3 movie buffs, original score 3 out of 4.
That was
Aww.
heartwarming. Simple-minded romp about a group of freshman outcasts doesn't qualify for the Dean's List, but Revenge of the Nerds shows more than enough smarts to deserve passing grades. Variety staff, Variety original score not available. Wow, they really went with the whole being a student thing for this review.
The only worthy successor to Animal House, Don Peretta, Timeout, original score not available. They're saying they like the movie, but they're not committing to
a teen sex comedy with a brain. Scott Weinberg, efilmcritic.com, original score 4 out of 5.
There we go.
We'll see if it has a brain.
One of the landmark tits and ass films of the 80s, and surprisingly a comedy with a lot of humor and even some heart. Black Davis, KFOR, Channel 4 News, original score 4 out of 5.
Okay, teen comedy, but nothing special. Ken Hankey, Mountain Express, original score 3 out of 5.
I put that one in for you.
I thought Ken Hankey would
Ken Hankey.
I thought Ken Hankey would like this. Ken, what's going on?
Well, I didn't hate it. All
That's
right,
true.
Rotten. I'll start. It's one of the great unfathomably mysteries of Hollywood that this unspeakably awful comedy was successful enough to spawn no less than 3, count them 3, sequels. Film for staff, film 4, original score not available, but they didn't like it.
Obviously. The kind of movie you saw in video when it was still forbidden fruit and loved it, only to find it much uglier with the rose-colored glasses removed. Rob Vo, Mania.com, original score, D. Wow, Rob.
It was an 80s thing. Alex Sandel, Juicy Cerebellum, original score 2 out of 5.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Revenge of the Nerds doesn't do much for movies or nerds. Lawrence Van Gelder, New York Times, original score not available. Just give it a 0. It's okay.
Yeah. The nerds perpetuate a nasty streak of behavior toward women that violates the film's general live and let live attitude, and it stains what is otherwise intended as a raunchy but lighthearted fun. Mark Pfeiffer, Real Times, Reflections on Cinema, original score C-.
I think Mark has already flagged some of the problematic stuff in it for us. And trust me, I will believe it, but I will also keep in mind that this was made this came out in 1984.
Yeah,
you can't weren't exactly known to be like great like leaders for women. Like this was not. Anyways,
and Animal House, which came I think in 79, was such a success that everyone wanted to capitalize it, and everyone wanted to watch boobies and stupid pranks and
raunchy
one-liners and something to laugh at.
It became a genre.
Yeah, and some of them were great. Some of them were stupid.
Terrible.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, we'll see.
IMDb. This is we'll share the 10 out of 10s. You can start.
Okay.
Oh, first, the IMDb 58,000 plus user ratings. It comes in at 6.6 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. You can start.
Okay. The best comedy mankind has ever seen. Nerd of Horror.
It's the best college comedy movie of all time and one of my favorite movies ever. Jaws.
Best college film ever. The Perfect Touch.
When nerds were real nerds and teen comedies were high art. Cragen.
This is the best college film in the history of cinema. The Honest Critic. Sir, I think you're lying.
I will always love this movie. Craigman.
Still a very funny movie. Jeff Mann, 52001.
Frats Entertainment. Get it? Frats instead of that's. Get it? You
so
people
punny.
Suck. I don't even know why I try. All right. You may go to number 9.
Thank you. Excellent. A must-see for the socially challenged. 9 out of 10, Polgi.
I will be honest. When I was doing this, I read that completely wrong. And I almost spit my drink out. For reals, not lying. I saw a different type of challenge. I'm like, are you kidding me? But it's socially challenged. A comedy classic for the nerd in all of us. 8 out of 10. Funky Cherry 86.
The original Big Bang Theory, 1980 style. 7 out of 10. A-chin. Yes, if Big Bang Theory was a bunch of pervs.
Yeah. Well, Wolowitz.
True.
A definite time capsule to quite a different area. I just put it definite. That's it. Thank you. A definite time capsule to quite a different area. I'm pretty sure they meant era. I just copy and paste whatever they put down. 6 out of 10. Mark Waltz, you moron. You wrote it as a moron, and the moron read it. So there you go.
Frat film could have been funnier and not as raunchy. 5 out of 10. M is obviously a woman. Because that's something I have said many times about many a frat college movie.
There weren't a lot, and I'm surprised. There weren't a lot. Like, I'm sure women found these movies funny, but there weren't a lot, if any. I'm trying to think of any 80s these type of movies that were for girls.
Oh, for girls?
Yeah, it wasn't until like I would say the maybe late 90s, like Clueless started it maybe, and then you got like House Bunny and
House Bunny is probably the closest.
Yeah.
And what is it?
And that's like early 2000s to start.
Yeah.
Those started.
That's probably the closest to like an Animal House, or these were not being made for women because apparently women can't be raunchy.
Yeah. It's too bad. I'm pretty sure they could have done some interesting and funny stuff.
Oh, they could have done so much funny stuff, but women were not the audience that film studios were chasing.
No.
Through the 80s and the 90s.
To be fair, like men were pretty dumb, so this was like an easy sell. It would have probably been a harder sell to women.
I mean, valid. Valid.
Hard to see why this was a huge hit. 4 out of 10, GCD 70.
Horribly dated. 3 out of 10, Leof Wine, Draka.
An 80s American classic that makes me glad I grew up elsewhere. 2 out of 10, Koala Pig. I guess it's from Australia. Screw you, Koala Pig.
Oh my God. Horrifying treatment of women. Mel VX. And nerdiness used as an excuse for misogyny. Heather Mendick. 1 out of 10.
Heather Mendick. You have your thing as Heather Mendick, and then you're whatever.
Nerdiness used as an excuse for which is true. Because you end up saying, well, of course they're going to do that because they can't get women on their own. Of course they're going to, you start apologizing for them because you're like, of course they're not getting any.
Yeah.
And then you realize they're really just, incels the first gen. But whatevs. This movie better be funny. I'm going to be so sad if it's not. I bought a DVD for this.
Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray for this. Never mind the DVD.
All
right. Yeah, really gambled on this one. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look at the trailer, and then we're going to make our prediction. Just make sure it's not blowing my eardrums out.
Good move.
There we go.
Star Wars, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sound of Music. In the tradition of these great films about fighting back against the odds, 20th Century Fox presents another milestone in motion picture history. Revenge of the Nerds.
Nerds. Nerds.
Nerds. Nerds!
What is a nerd?
They've been laughed at. Picked on.
There's a roommate, pal!
And put down.
I'm not kissing a nerd.
They don't have the moves or the muscle,
You know karate? No. Good.
but they've got the brains.
I know what we're gonna do.
It's time for the odd to get even.
Their action tonight demands an immediate retaliation.
How many cameras do we have left?
This should do it.
Oh, here she comes.
Go up, go up.
Oh, no.
That nerd saw me naked.
Are all nerds as good as you?
Revenge of the Nerds. Their time has come.
I drink to that.
Nerds.
Okay, I laughed at some points. Nerds. Um, I will say this though. After seeing the clip, I'm like, oh right, the women are kind of played stupid in this. Like they're not the greatest intellectuals. So I was like, I remember them playing a little, like being played a little, not quite
As
sharp.
dumb?
I'll say. I remember them being played as dumb.
Yeah.
Like they're not great intellectuals. So I
Again,
remember
that was
them being-
another trope in the 80s. Like you would have one
yeah.
that was smarter than your average
Yeah.
one, but yeah, that was usually the case. I did
So
like the
fun.
guy asking him, "Do you know karate?"
Yeah. And then
He's
the,
like,
oh,
"Not good," and then he puts a jock strap on his head.
can I tell you? I'm like, oh God, no. After
No.
practice?
Oh,
Af-
God, that'd be
and
so
after
gross.
Practice jock strap? Oh no, man. That's just mean. That's so mean.
All right, what's your
Wow.
predictions?
Um, I hesitantly think I'm going to like it. I don't know if I'll love it. I may end up rolling my eyes more, but that would make me really sad. I want to love it. So I'm gonna hold out hope for that. I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, the trailer made me laugh. I did see a lot of what people were talking about.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm going to look at it as one was made in 1984 as a silly movie,
Mhm.
and we'll definitely pick apart the other stuff. But yeah, I think I'm going to like it. I hope so. I paid a lot for it. Not a lot for it, but I paid money for it.
Yeah. I bought the DVD.
Yeah. Did you
So
get the
this-
special features on yours?
I don't know.
I think mine came with
literally,
special features.
Like it came in, I was like, yeah, I got it. And then I just like put it on a shelf and I was like, we're waiting.
Yeah, I know. I meant to grab it for this, and then I forgot where I put it, so I better find it. All right. Well, we are gonna
Solid plan.
go. We're gonna go watch Revenge of the Nerds once we find our copies, and when we come back, we are gonna review it.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Where are they? I think they're talking about us. No way. Come on, Lewis, let's go.
Ooh, wasn't that fun, kids? Boobies and bush and swear words and pranks, music montages.
You're very enthusiastic about this.
I mean, this was an adolescent's dream movie.
Maybe an adolescent boy.
Yeah. Did you watch 1984's Revenge of the Nerds?
I did.
And what is your initial thoughts?
The first half of the movie was trash, but the second half was thoroughly entertaining.
What part
But
did you, what up to what point did you not like it?
Basically, okay, the first half had its moments. So there were moments that I really, really liked. Then it was only when it got to like Homecoming at that point, like that all the games and the competitions and all that. I was super into that and I found that super entertaining. Everything before that, there were moments, but for the most part, it just left me frustrated and angry. And what are your thoughts?
I liked it. And yes, there were one or two parts of the movie that were, let's say, problematic. If you're a nerd.
Not even if you're a nerd. If you're a woman, this movie is super problematic.
But as a whole, I thought the movie was so juvenile, so silly. Like for those people that are like, it didn't age well, and this was so wrong, and this is misogynistic. All I have to say is, what are you gonna do? Don't watch it.
Honestly, if you're easily offended by a lot of
Jesus Christ.
toilet humor, this is not your movie.
No, not at all.
This is not your movie at all. Also, if you're a woman who's already very angry about the portrayal of women in film, this is not your movie.
Actually, you should avoid all 80 comedies. Period.
Well, no, there are a couple.
Oh no, there are some that are
okay,
but there are a lot that are not.
Yeah.
No, I had a lot of fun watching this. It was very nostalgic.
Oh yeah,
super nostalgic. Like, and I forgot a lot of the jokes. I remembered like the big ones, but there was stuff that I forgot about, like the poker game with Booger and Takashi. And he's like, "What the fuck is a frush?"
that was one of the things. Which, by the way, we can also flag as probably problematic.
And I'm kind of with you. The first half, there were parts that I remembered, and it was a nostalgic thing that I loved. And there were a couple things that were funny. I would say by the time it got to the montage, it really did start to pick up. And by the time it got to, I love the games and the pranks, and that stuff was pretty funny. Up until then, it was really going on nostalgic fumes, but it did have some. Basically, it was just so silly and lighthearted, and it did have heart. The movie did have tried to convey, and I think it did in a way convey a pretty positive message. Not if you're a girl.
No, not if you're a girl. This was there were no positive. Were there positive? Not really. I'm trying to think. Oh, the one positive message is Betty apparently finally gets an orgasm. Good for her.
Yeah.
I felt really sad for her when I realized. I was like, "Damn, girl. Like, how shitty was Stan?"
Yeah. And she got it by way of sexual assault.
Exactly. That also made me because I was like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
This is really not okay. And then afterwards, she's just like, "Oh, you're a completely different person. You're not my boyfriend." And I was like, nobody else is gonna flag this. No?
And we'll get to that in more in depth once we get through to that part. But some things, yes, didn't age well. But I would argue to say I don't think they were even. I think you knew even back in the 80s that
that was totally hinky, right? In the 80s. Because this movie, it's from what, 1984?
84.
Consent was not a fully conceptualized thing. If I'm not mistaken, I think sexual assault within a relationship, like with your wife, still wasn't a crime. If someone can fact check that for me, because I'm pretty sure it happened either in the early 80s or the mid 80s. Like that was when they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can't rape your wife." So it was a very different culture back then, where something like this is like, "Oh, he tricked you. Ha ha. Well, you got an orgasm, so it's all fine."
Which is all good stuff to know now. Like, don't
pretend you're someone else.
Your wife. Got it.
Don't rape your wife. Don't rape strangers. Don't rape friends. Just
that goes for your wife too. She can't rape you. That works both ways. Like there's plenty of times where my wife tried to force herself on me. I'm like, "No, I'm tired."
Your wife is gonna be so mad at you for saying.
She's gonna say, "You gotta take it and like it." And even as a kid, like I really do like. If you think this movie spawned like Peeping Toms or Sexual Predator, you're an idiot. Boys weren't watching this going, "Oh, I guess it's okay. Why does he even bother wearing a mask? He could just roofie her and then she'll like it and want more." And then when they're arrested, but the nerd said it was okay. No, Bill Cosby was doing what he did without watching Revenge of the Nerds.
True. He's been doing it since like the 60s, the early 60s. So, I mean,
the OG.
I don't know about OG.
No, maybe not the OG. Entertainment
Beginning of
OG. Oh, I'm probably not
No,
paying
beginning of
attention now.
Hollywood was super,
Oh, I'm pretty
like
sure it was bad.
yeah, it was
Like, really bad.
terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
But yes, 100%. Even in 1984, you could have gotten certain plot points like Lewis and Betty getting together without sexual
Without
assault.
that. Like,
Yeah.
it could have happened
Because what if Betty didn't
without
appreciate Lewis's oral skills and just screamed rape? That would have turned into a completely different movie.
I
Much
will
darker.
oh god, yeah. It they would not have been winning that homecoming competition.
No,
Let me tell
the movie
you.
would have went right off the rails.
Would have turned into a very different movie.
All right, let's go over the movie. Best friends and nerds Louis Skolnick and Gilbert Lowe enroll in Adams College to study computer science. So the film opens up with Gilbert laying in bed, nervous about going to college. His mom talks to him. Louis comes over, tells Gilbert, let's go, and rips the comforter off to reveal Gilbert is already dressed and
ready to go.
And they laugh. We get the opening of the movie in which is the song Revenge of the Nerds by the Rubinos.
Yes, very, very synthesizer filled.
And actually about the movie, a very
yes.
80s staple.
Yes, but also, can we talk about the font of the credits? It was that computer font from the 80s where they were like, this is the technical stuff. Ooh, it's a computer. I was like, oh, guys, is this how you're going to nerdify this? Which in today's society, like being into computers is not a nerd thing anymore.
No.
Now it's standard. Now you got people who were stay-at-home moms who are like, I'm learning coding.
Yeah.
Like totally normal.
Yeah. But back in the 80s, it was a nerdy thing.
It was.
It was a cool thing too, especially if you're a kid. But we also get the drive to college with Dad, played by James Cromwell.
Credited as Jamie Cromwell.
Jamie Cromwell. This was one of his new first, not his first one, but he was. And what a career! Nerds, pigs. That'll do, pig. But if you would have told me back then that Lewis's dad was going to be an amazing actor in some of my favorite movies, I believe you. He was awesome in this. When they were talking about getting laid and he wished he was going with them.
Honestly, that got a little creepy, but apparently
it was all so creepy because they stopped and looked at each other like that was creep, and then they just start laughing.
Yeah, they started laughing, and it was like, oh, and I'm like, no, I think he really wants to creep on 18-year-olds. Like, this is concerning.
Well, some college girls are in their 20s.
Yes, in later years, but he's talking to 2 freshmen.
That's true. Yeah,
but even then, the oldest in undergrad.
Yeah, it would have been what, like 25, 26?
No, 25, 26. That's cute. 21.
Well, that'd be a doctor.
Because you gotta remember when they're all starting college, they're all 18. So bare minimum, as seniors, they would be 21, 22 at the most. And this is still somebody's dad. And no offense to James Cromwell. You are a very attractive man, but you look old.
Yeah, he looked old in 84.
Right?
Yeah.
Like true, he hasn't aged that much since 84, but he looked old in 84.
And from what I can see, he's in all 4 nerd movies.
Oh, fantastic.
Which tells me he's a showbiz horror or just a good sport or needs to pay the bills.
Honestly, that would probably pay the bills.
Yeah.
What this movie added up to.
And then we get Lewis and Gilbert going to their dorm, and the scene from our opening of Ogre spots them and starts yelling nerds.
Can I got kind of annoyed at the thing. So Dad pulls up, they unhook the trunk, and apparently they use sound effects for the bungee cords like bouncing. And I was like, why would you do that? But anyways, then they proceed to carry that big ass trunk, suitcases, briefcases across the circle
campus,
across straight.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Campus, and
over
it's a
people,
circular driveway, over people, through puddles, like causing accidents. Which all I know, like I was like, okay, I understand slapstick humor. Okay, cool, that's what you're going for. I'm like, but this is illogical, and these are supposed to be super smart people, and that made me angry Because I was like, these are smart enough people to realize you can pull the car up in front of the building and then just carry the shit through. You can still have from the car to the room all the slapstick humor you wanted. But I was like, you're going to make them carry it across. I was like, now I just think these guys are stupid. I don't believe in your nerdiness anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I that was yeah, you're right. I know why they did it, but they could have just drove up to the door.
And then you have all the slapstick, people bumping into them tripping over things. By all means, just walking straight across that field. I was like, God damn it, guys.
The Alpha Betas, a fraternity that includes most of the Adams football team, carelessly burned down their own house and, urged by Coach Harris, take over the freshman dorms, throwing the freshmen out in the street. Okay, this is the whole fireball scene with the 188 proof alcohol. They blamed it on faulty wiring.
But it's hilarious because the guy that they have doing the like Spitfire literally dressed like Farmer Gomer.
Yeah.
I was like, guys,
Had his overalls on.
Everybody else is dressed super preppy at this party, except for like Ogre. But Ogre is never dressed preppy. It's fine. Anyways, everybody's dressed super preppy, very stylish. And then you got this random guy wearing overalls and a like thermal shirt.
Yeah.
Just spitting fire. And not in the hip hop kind of way.
I did like Ogre and a couple of the girls roasting marshmallows. Part of the burning building.
I love that. It was faulty wiring. They're like, that's not what the fire chief says.
Yeah.
I say that's what it is. John Goodman.
And this is why you can't take this movie serious, or too serious, or not at all. I did love the jocks getting ready to go into the dorm, and then Gable giving a speech like, here we are homeless, and these freshmen are just sitting pretty in their fancy dorm. Ogre tosses one out of the window and then tosses the other one. Here's your roommate.
Yeah.
Again, very 80s, slapstick, almost Looney Tunes cartoonish.
Very.
Even with the sound effects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Some freshmen were in their robe. The one guy was just in his tighty whities.
Poor thing.
Dean Ulrich designates temporary living space in the gymnasium and allows the freshmen to rush the fraternities. Lewis Gilbert and several other nerds fail to join fraternities, but obtain and renovate a dilapidated house near campus. So we get several scenes of the nerds living in the gym, which they're allowed to stay until basketball season starts. Here we get Booker and Takashi still playing the poker, and I still like, what the fuck is a frush? I'm gonna get that on a shirt.
Every time Takashi says anything,
yeah,
the accent becomes like, kind of, and Booger's like, what's that? And I'm like, the first couple times, okay, sure. But I'm like, at this point, you're living with this guy for a while. You should understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I understand it's a running joke. And it was super funny to make fun of accents in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. Let's be real. And some people still think it's super duper funny. And then I want to remind them that person who's speaking with an accent speaks multiple languages, you fucking moron.
Yeah, where you only speak one.
And you only speak one and not even that well. So calm the fuck down. So the first couple times I was like, okay, yeah. And then it kept going and I was like, it's getting old now, guys. It's getting old. Although later on in the movie, Booger and Takashi have an interaction. And I'm like, this I want to see more of.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. We see a bunch of freshmen leaving, so the rest of them decide to fan out and try to find housing. We get Betty, the leader of the Pies, suggesting Lewis and Gilbert rush Alpha Betas.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Alpha Betas. They ask when they get there, they ask if they brought rubbers, and you see the sheep. You don't see a whole lot, just them returning practically tarred and feathered.
Yeah.
After the whole ordeal.
Thankfully, we didn't have to, because honestly, I have a lot of trouble with secondhand embarrassment for people. So I have trouble whenever I'm watching a movie or a TV show and whatever's happening on that TV show or movie is super embarrassing for the characters. I get really uncomfortable. It almost makes me want to cry. Like I just want to hug everybody and be like, it's okay, we'll fix this. Don't worry, it's a problem I'm talking to my therapist about. So every time that I was like, as soon as they get the invite, I'm like, don't go. This is going to be bad. And then it was bad. And I was like, No, you can walk away now. It's okay. You can just say no.
So they all split up. Lamar and the big cowboy. That fucker was huge.
Yes, very much.
The older lady coming on to Wormser. Wormser's the 12-year-old genius.
Can we talk about how gross that was?
That was fucking disturbing.
He doesn't even look like he's 12. He looks like he's 8. And she's all like, your room's right next to mine. Ew. Ew.
Booger and the guy through the mail slot who wants to know who sent him, why he's there, and eventually just tells Booger to fuck off.
That was actually pretty funny.
That was all right. The Japanese guy with Takashi, both speaking Japanese until the homeowner says something very angrily. Well, Japanese sounds very angry, but yeah, calls him a nerd.
Calls him a nerd.
But Lewis finds a piece of shit house, and we get our musical montage, and I loved it.
I love a good montage.
Yeah, that was pretty. Poindexter sweeping with Lewis and Gilbert's robot because they make the robot. That robot was going to help them when they were getting laid in the dorm. And then the robot turns on Poindexter and attacks him.
Well, I mean, Poindexter was sweeping. Robots trying to vacuum. Like it was a fight to the death. I mean, only one can win.
Takashi and Booger painting and smoking marijuana, and Booger's like, "Do you feel anything?" He's like, "No, nothing." Well, you better take another hit.
Yeah.
How about now? No, nothing. Until it cuts and cuts and cuts. Takashi is laughing and falls over with the roller.
Yeah, he just straight like timbers.
The Alpha Betas, led by star quarterback Stan Gable, are irked by the nerds' success, and Stan sets his fellow members to harassing the nerds, which includes throwing a rock through the window that says, "Nerds, get out."
Yeah. Real creative. The Alpha Betas are a bunch of morons.
Yeah. But this time we see Gilbert is already running a computer club or class and meets Judy.
I think he might be a tutor.
A tutor, yeah.
That feels a little more right.
Played by Michelle Mayring, who is in a few good movies that I really like The Outsiders, Real Genius, where she played a nerd. Valley Girl, one of our favorites, One Magic Christmas. For those listening, we did a podcast last Christmas on One Magic Christmas, and let's just say it was a lot darker and a bit of a downer than I remembered. But she worked right up until 1988, and that was it. She was done. She left or stopped or...
Good for her.
Yeah.
She probably put all her money in the bank and was like, I'm going to go to college now and get a career.
Yeah, I think, she's just got married and had kids, and that was it. The nerds complain to campus police, who are constrained by the Greek council that adjudicates all such pranks. Stan is currently president of the council and largely controls its processes. The nerds decide to seek membership in the Greek council by joining a national fraternity. After 29 rejection letters, because they sent pictures in every one of them, except for Lambda Lambda Lambda. The only one to consider them is the black fraternity Lambda 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 Trilambs, led by UN Jefferson. After meeting the nerds, Jefferson is about to refuse their application when Poindexter noticed the Trilambs rulebook states that all applicants are given probationary membership. He does not look impressed or excited about it at all.
No, he doesn't. And it's so funny because he's like, what? And then Poindexter repeats himself very clearly. You have to give us a 60-day trial period.
Yeah.
It says so. And he's like, God damn it. But then his colleague is like, let's give him a shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's beautiful, man. You're my favorite now.
So the nerds organize a large party with the Omega Mu sorority, similarly made up of nerdy and overweight women. This is Wikipedia, including Gilbert's girlfriend, Julie, and invite Jefferson to attend. Actually, okay, Wikipedia's...
Yeah.
Lewis invites Betty, who is like, no. Then Stan, the leader of the jocks, is like, I got a plan. So the Pies show up at the nerds' house, all wearing blue dresses and holding candles, singing the song that they will be their dates.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't show up. So Judy is like, hey, I'll invite my overweight friends. And Booger is like, oh, no, not the Omega Mu.
Can I tell? As soon as they said Omega Mu, I was like, we're gonna get a lot of larger bodies walking through this house.
Yeah,
I can feel it now because there's a lot of like the Lambda. I was like, okay, we can leave that, but the Alpha Betas,
yeah,
because there's a theory that every alpha, if you're a self-proclaimed alpha, you're actually a beta. I'm like, I get it.
The Pies.
The Pies. Okay, we got that.
And then the Omega moves.
Yeah.
Like, come
Like,
on.
guys. And so as soon as they started walking through that house, I was like, for fuck's sakes. And you couldn't dress them better?
Yeah.
Fuck. It
And
was a very upsetting time.
they show up. No one's having fun. I do love how they were playing more. They were worried that the Tri-Lambs got, so they put more black music on.
They put on like
Swing
a
low, sweet
spiritual-
chariot.
Yeah.
At least Lamar took it off.
Yeah, Lamar was like, and then looks at them and is like, sorry, no,
Yeah.
I don't know why would they would do that. White people, yo, white people.
And then Booger is like, I got super joints.
Yes.
And then Wikipedia picks it up here. The party is dull until Booger provides everyone with high quality marijuana. Yeah, super joints. The Alpha Betas and the Pi Delta Pi's, a sorority to which Stan's girlfriend Betty Childs belongs, then disrupt the party by bringing and releasing pigs. But before that, we do get like Poindexter and his date just laughing uncontrollably. Lewis gets lucky.
Good for him. He's talking about his robot and it gets him laid.
Yeah. And Takashi taking pictures of the girl's hair pie. Can I see your hair pie? Oh, thank you. Clicks a picture. Oh. Poindexter just giving it on the dance floor. Lamar having fun. Well, Lamar was having fun even before this.
Yeah, Lamar always has fun.
Wormser, the little kid, just talking to those gigantic boobies. Holy frig.
Yeah.
I think Booger might have had the most fun of all. Just
shoving. Can I tell
like
you?
they were passing him around.
I was watching that and I was like, that cannot be comfortable for those women. He's got a death grip on their asses.
Yeah.
This is not a soft like massaging or caress. This is literally like death grips. And I was like, that can't be comfortable or sexy. I don't know who thinks that's so. FYI, if you've ever watched this movie and you see the way Booger is grabbing these women's asses, don't ever do that to an actual person. Woman, man, it doesn't matter. If you're going to grab somebody's ass while you're dancing, first of all, make sure that this is within the accepted code of conduct for behavior. Don't do that like you're trying to bust a water balloon. This is fucked up. It's fucked. I was like, she's going to have bruises on her ass.
Big handprint bruises. The nerds exact revenge on both groups by pulling pranks of their own. Impressed with the nerds' tenacity, Jefferson grants them full membership. Well, the pranks, the heat in the jock straps.
Yeah, the liquid heat in the jock straps. Which I appreciated.
Yeah, the panty raid, which was actually pretty funny.
Yes.
But this was a distraction as Lamar and Wormser had a second mission of installing video cameras.
Which was not funny. I was like, okay.
Big, giant video cameras.
The actual installation of them, kind of funny.
Yeah.
Seeing the candle or the camera and like realizing like now we have pinhole cameras.
Yeah.
So you could literally like put them anywhere. The holes they were drilling for these cameras, the look of the cameras, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I made a note. I said, how did they not discover these fucking cameras? Those holes were huge.
Right? And one of them was like not even like in the ceiling. It was I was like
in the wall. Like you could see it. Yeah, it was like above a picture or something.
I was like, how are these girls that stupid? You don't see a giant hole in your wall?
Yeah. But the nerds hiding and running through the hall laughing was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Some trivia here. When I was checking out some of the special features on my Blu-ray, I found it.
I found mine too. I thought for a second I had lost it, which was terrifying.
Yeah. But I went to the audio commentary and happened to just pick this scene, and they were all like the people that were talking during the scene. Lamar and Wormser went like Navy SEALs, and they said Larry B. Scott, who played Lamar, actually climbed the rope to the second or third floor without using his leg. That was him, all arms.
Holy
and that was not a stunt guy. They're like, that was like Lamar. That was Larry. And when he pulls up Wormser, that was him too. They're like, he was in unbelievable shape.
Oh my! Well, no, you can kind of tell as he's doing his jazzercise.
Yeah, that he's
That is
in
a
good shape.
very like cut man.
Yeah,
He is in shape, small but
but
mighty.
yeah. Then Wikipedia skips over the part of them going home and watching the pies on the camera live feed
Big
all
giant
night.
bird. All night they don't sleep. They put
No,
beer, which by the way, how the fuck did they buy beer? They're all freshmen.
yeah,
And 18 years old. I'm pretty sure in 1984 you had to be 21 to drink. But anyways, it was super like you're just watching them
yeah,
sleep,
and
them shower, them brush their teeth.
we did see boobies. We did get the phrase "we got Bush." And although this was in retaliation, like we must state
Yeah.
that sneaking into the any dorm, frat house, apartment, bathroom, change room, it's wrong.
Yeah.
While seemingly justified in 1984 and funny in 1984, still a little funny today.
Look,
It
you
is a
wanna get
movie
back at
fiction.
them? Yeah, if you wanna get back at someone for releasing pigs into your party, you release raccoons into their house. Like, that's the appropriate the panty raid was the appropriate response. Still weird, but
Yeah,
on the level.
setting up a bunch of cameras, watching multiple women change is just so everyone here listening or watching is wrong. And
So wrong and
now
illegal.
you and illegal. And now you know.
Yeah.
The more we know.
Man, those things were great.
Those were great. Okay. However, the harassment intensifies and Stan prevents any attempts by the Greek Council to sanction Alpha Beta. The nerds realize the only way to get the council to help is to put one of their own in as president, which they can do by winning the Greek games during homecoming. Partnering with the Omega Moos and using their extensive scientific knowledge and creativity, the Tri-Lambs compete strongly with Alpha Betas and Pi Delta Pies during the athletic events. I love this part.
This is my favorite part. This is my absolute favorite part. Also, shout out to Gilbert, the character of Gil. He recognizes his nerdiness.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to be anything but he doesn't think college is going to completely change it, but he's hoping it's going to be better than high school. And he's like, "No, man, we got to become president. We got to do this." And then he spurs his team. And I appreciate him so much.
Yeah. I loved I love the riding of the bull. I love Ogre just sitting there.
Yes.
I love the arm wrestling. Booger picked his nose and wiped it on the girl's hand and then just slams her hand down.
So gross.
I love the Moo and Ogre arm wrestling, and she almost wins.
Yes.
And then when Ogre finally wins, he's like, everyone's cheering, but he's like winded and like,
and he looks a little sad and dejected. He's like,
yeah.
I don't understand. This is what I do.
Ogre was played with a lot more depth than I remembered. Like
100%.
just those little things, like when the belching contest and Booger is going up and throws a cigarette in Ogre's trophy he was drinking from.
Yeah.
Ogre has a look on his face, like he looks down and up and down again, and has this look like, did he just put a cigarette in my drink?
You know what? If you watch this movie and actually watch Ogre, like there are times where you're like, he's more cross-eyed in this scene. He's like, there's little things where you're just like, sir, Mr. Donald Gibb, were you like making notes on your script when they were like, and Ogre says nerds, and he's like, I got this.
And apparently, he does a lot of the conventions.
Oh, really?
Like a ton of them. And apparently he is like supposed to be like, he will talk about anything you want to talk about. He's supposed to be like super, super nice. Like whether it's nerds or blood sport, whatever. Like he loves talking about the movies and to people about it. Yeah. Apparently he's like super, super, super nice. And if anybody sees Curtis Armstrong at a convention, because I saw he was not too far away, but I couldn't go. I don't really go to conventions, but I think he does it at almost all of them. You can pay like $150. Like he'll sign and do all the signing stuff, but you can do an extra $150. And I don't know if he rents out the bar, but for everyone that pays, he goes and hangs out with them for 2 or 3 hours. and just talks about whatever, again, whatever, like the nerds, better off dead, whatever
Oh,
you want to talk
fantastic.
to. But he'll hang out and have beers with you. And I would pay $150 to hang out with Curtis Armstrong and talk about, well, I talk about a ton of shit with him.
Yeah, no kidding. He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But I love the javelin with Lamar. The fucking
But it's so awesome because you see the first guy go up, and I think I made a comment about him where I was like, he's got some thick thighs. The first javelin guy,
Yeah.
and then as the alpha beta goes, like it's Stan who does it, and he's like a gazelle. He's like, "Dun, dun, wah." Beautiful form, and then you just see Lamar come up, and he's like, "I'm
just
ready."
running,
He's jauntily running,
and the thing's just bouncing
And
up and down.
flouncing. And then he sends it flying. And I'm like, that was fucking amazing.
But my absolute favorite was the tricycle race with Takashi.
Oh my God.
That was so fun. 1 lap, chug a beer, 20 laps, and he was getting more vulgar every lap. Oh, fucking A. Yeah, take this pill. It'll absorb every bit of alcohol and you won't get drunk. But by, I think it was like lap 7 or 8, you could tell he was getting
He was already
hammered.
getting there. And then like the last lap was like lap 12. And I'm like, well, you chug 12 beers while riding on a it doesn't matter how many pills you take.
Oh
You
my
get
God.
fucked up.
People are just, everyone was crashing their little tricycles. I did like that. Yeah, that was awesome. At the charity fundraiser, the nerds heavily outsell the alpha betas by offering pies containing hidden nude pictures of Betty and other Pi Delta pies. that was kind of funny too.
Kind of weird.
Yes, where they
Like,
get
I
Ogre
get
to.
But Ogre eating that pie was funny.
Yeah. Well, why are they selling? How is the pie? It's all right.
It's all
Is
right.
it good? No, it's all right.
And he's still just shoveling it in his mouth with his hand. Just shove it. It's all right. It's all right. And then he's like, oh, I think I figured it out. And then you see it, and I'm like, okay, guys, come on.
Yeah.
Now,
and then Stan's like, that's my pie.
that was a good He's like, that's my pie. But I mean, if the woman had consented to having her titties out on that pie plate,
and they didn't,
I would have no problem with that. I'd be like, go ahead, use her titties to sell your pies. But they did not. So I was like a little uncomfortable with that. But overall, I'm not too mad, but still 1984.
Okay, so during this, Lewis, who has fallen in love with Betty, steals Stan's costume and tricks Betty into engaging in sexual intercourse with them. Okay, so this is a little problematic.
A little.
A little.
A little.
I kind of get what they were doing.
I get it too.
But
still wrong.
Like, wasn't there one person during the script reading going, really?
Well, no, because you've got to remember, up until probably the last 10 or 15 years, it was not common knowledge that like like if a girl is super drunk and you have sex with her, she can't consent. She doesn't have the mental faculties to do it. If you trick someone, even if like now sexual assault is also considered like if you're having sex and the guy takes off the condom and he doesn't tell you, that's also sexual assault. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that before you were just like, oh, well, it just happens that now. So, like, I understand what they're saying. Like, this is the way that she finds out that, Lewis is her match because he has an orgasm.
Yeah.
But it's still sexual assault. Like, we can all agree on that.
But
I get what they were trying to do.
In 1984, they're like, haha, he steals the mask and then he goes down and comes up and it's Lewis. Ha ha.
And then she's in love.
Oh my God, you're great. I love you. Yeah.
And literally I'm sitting there going, how shitty was Stan Gable that when you get tricked into getting oral on a waterbed mattress filled room, because that's what was on the floor there, that you're all like, meet me after the pep rally.
Yeah. You want to hang out?
What? This man
Yes.
just pretended to be your boyfriend so you would have sex with him. This is not okay.
Yes, because kids, if you're listening and you didn't get permission, you're taking something without permission. You're taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Yes.
Isn't that right, shipwrecking kids?
And if you get caught,
I definitely end up in trouble.
remember, taking something that isn't yours just isn't right.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
Thank you, shipwreck. It's wrong, but now you know. So there's no excuse if you're listening to this. Now there's no excuse. But
If you're, especially because she said, Stan, you changed your mind. So it's clear that she thinks she's gonna have sex with Stan, and it's
Yeah.
clear that Lewis is like, we're just gonna get it on, and then we'll tell her afterwards. It's fine. It is not fine. Public service announcement. It is not fine.
Yeah.
Everybody should know who they're having sex with.
yeah. It's probably good. That's a good
Good
call.
rule of thumb. You should probably know who you're having sex. Like, see faces and be like, yes, you. I want to have sex with you.
Thanks, Anna. That's actually really good. That's a really good point.
Yeah. You should also be able to pick them out of a lineup later.
Yeah. Finally, the nerds dominate the musical competition with a techno-computer-driven musical production, winning the overall games. Lewis immediately nominates Gilbert as the new council president. This was so 80s. Oh my God.
80s. But it was so magical.
I don't know if this is in the trivia that we have coming up, but they all played their own instruments except for Poindexter. And
I mean,
if it's, I'll save the one part because it's actually quite funny. I don't know if it's part of the trivia. If it is, it's really funny. I don't want to ruin it. Okay. So Coach Harris lambasts the Alpha Betas for losing to the nerds, and Stan leads them in vandalizing the Tri-Lam house. The nerds become despondent, and Gilbert decides to barge into the middle of homecoming prep rally to voice his complaints. The Alpha Betas try to stop him, but Jefferson and a large group of National Tri-Lams arrive to intimidate the Alpha Betas, offering Gilbert the opportunity to give a rousing speech about standing up to discrimination. How'd they know? Tri-Lam this.
who knows? You know what? They were probably just coming for homecoming. Like
Probably,
the national board was probably like, let's visit our little white nerds.
Yeah. Good thing they showed up.
Fantastic.
But I was sitting there going, how'd they know? But Lewis and the other Tri-Lams, many alumni, and Betty, who announces she is in love with a rapist, nerd, join in cheering Gilbert, soundly shaming the Alpha Betas. As emboldened, Dean Ulrich instructs Coach Harris that the Tri-Lams will now live in the Alpha Beta house, and the Alpha Betas will live in the gym until they can repair the Tri house. This was a very moving speech by Gilbert. I actually felt something when he was giving that about the wanting to belong and all that stuff. I was never a nerd, but I
Who were you in high school?
I was honestly the funny guy. I was not a jock. I was not the most popular guy, but I was good for a laugh.
See, I don't think I wasn't popular, but I wasn't like super outwardly nerdy, we'll say. I was a giant nerd, but nobody knew the depths of my nerdiness. I managed to like fake it enough. So I was like middle of the weighing it.
Yeah. And what constitutes a nerd? Like what?
Well, people who are socially awkward or
I had that.
Who have a lot of
But I wasn't overly smart.
Well, if they're super smart. But I also went to an all-girls school where the majority of the girls there who were super smart were also very popular. Like we definitely celebrated intelligence in that school. And we were like, the smarter you are, the more we want to know you because you're interesting, which was really helpful for me, at least. Because then it was like, don't get me wrong, a lot of girls were rolling their kilts and opening up too many buttons when we were leaving school because we had literally a line of guys sitting across the street waiting for us to get out.
Oh, I hope they were like you around your age.
Most of them were in high school. Most of them were in high school. Some were in their 20s. So ew.
Construction workers.
Honestly, we got a lot of those looking at us too. We used to, because My high school is where the college. So I was literally like 2 or 3 doors down from that on
Oh, so
Wellesley.
you had all kinds.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
a lot of business people, and then, like, trying to go to, like, the subway station was a whole 'nother issue, and it was a lot of pervs. They see a kilt, and they start losing their sense.
I mean, Catholic school girl. I mean, Jesus Christ, like you didn't
It's
have
a
a
problem.
chance.
Yeah, no. But, I mean, we didn't really have, like we had kinda less classically or socially cool kids, but we still thought they were cool because they were interesting and they were funny or they were very talented. But they just didn't fit the image of a cool kid that we had in the 90s.
Right. But no, the Queen music comes on. We are the champions. No, I like the ending. It was a good
I
a
love
good
the
ending.
ending.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is our movie. So let's bring up YouTube scores first.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's see it.
so first we have give me 1 minute here. Where are the nerds? Where are the nerds? Okay, so basically it was Buy It, Nerds Rule, 80s Rule. We had Rent It, We've Got Bush, Stream It, To Shut Your Dad Up, and Skip It, It Did Not Age Well. So our results for the last week of voting were 68% said Buy It, Nerds Rule, 80s Rule. 14% of voters said Rent It, We've Got Bush. 11% said Stream It, To Shut Your Dad Up. And 7% said Skip It, It Did Not Age Well.
I'm surprised that many people said buy it because I
Yeah.
bought it. And I'm not mad about buying it, but I'm not thrilled about it either.
Well, I did buy it, and mine comes with I'm a nerd and I'm pretty proud of it. I guess it's a making of deleted scenes, Revenge of the Nerds TV pilot that never aired. I watched the first couple minutes. Oh my God. Bad. I'm going to watch the whole thing. Commentary by director Jeff Canoe and actors Robert Carradine, Timothy Busfield, and Curtis Armstrong, and the original theatrical trailer. Yeah.
Apparently mine has bonus features too, but I don't think they're anything special, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, no?
I didn't even check the bonus features. I was just like, whatever, play the movie. It's fine.
All right. So that was our poll. What is your score?
My score straddles the line between Stream It and Skip It. This is a movie where if you're not familiar with the 80s kind of film genre, and if you're one of those people that whenever you watch an older movie, you immediately kind of place it in today's society, you are going to hate this movie so much.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm one of those people, I can watch it and realize, okay, this took place in 1984. A lot of this was acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And it was perfectly normal. So I can watch it and not become enraged. It still makes me a little uncomfortable. Because, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's a full-on, like, sexual assault in this. There's, like, spying on people. There's distribution of nudes that are not their own. Like, people are distributing other people's nudes. And I'm like, I am not comfortable with that. So, I mean, there are things that are very, very wrong in this movie, but then there are things that are so right. So part of me is like, you know what, Stream It. You'll laugh a little bit. You'll get a little bit, like, ickified, and that's okay. And then you're gonna see the rousing speech at the end, and when they win homecoming, you know, you're gonna be like, the underdogs took it. Like, this is great. True, they're a bunch of pervs who really don't believe in the agency and bodily autonomy for women. But I mean, it was also 1984. That was not really a popular concept for the entire world. So, yeah. So I'm bordering. I would not pay money for this, though. I did. I'm not thrilled about it, paying the money. I'm also not super mad about it because, I mean, the ending kind of made up for all of its shortcomings. Like, the second half of the movie takes it and, you know, it kind of evens it out with the shortcomings from the first half.
Now, would you watch it again?
Probably not.
No.
I might, honestly, to be perfectly honest, I might skip to the homecoming. I just watched the second half of the movie.
Right.
Because the first half was okay, but also at the same time, it was also like Gilbert was my saving grace in this movie. Gilbert, when he's hitting on Judy, is that her name? Judy,
Yeah.
yeah. Gilbert hitting on Judy with and then me being nerd enough, I was like, "Sir, you didn't write the code for all of that as you're typing. You're not writing code."
No. That was, yeah.
That it's just animating by itself. I'm like, that is not how that works.
No.
But I mean, like, I'm like, can we just get a movie with Gilbert in it? Because he seems the least like gross of all of them. Gilbert and Lamar. Give me that movie.
Gilbert and Lamar.
Gilbert and Lamar. What's your rating?
My score is Revenge of the Nerds is a raunchy comedy from the 80s. One of several. Like a lot. But I think it's one of the better ones. I would put it up there with Police Academy, Porky's, Weird Science, Back to School, and our upcoming one we're going to do, Major League. And I'm sure they have parts that didn't age well either. Now, I haven't seen those movies in a long time. I'm just assuming they're still good. The movie has nudity and language and silliness, which is exactly what you wanted in your 80s comedies. The plot was thin. The characters were characters. But what it lacked in substance, it made up in humor and actors who committed to the characters. And surprisingly, it had a lot of heart. And it had a great message at the end. Not the sexual assault or the peeping Tom stuff. The part about everyone at one time or the other didn't belong, felt out of place. I thought that was really good. Yeah. I can forgive the bad in the movie because the whole movie itself was very cartoonish in its presentation and delivery. Like right up to with the sound effects. It was just silly and not really meant to be taken seriously. If you look at it as today, yes, and you do take it seriously, this movie is very problematic. If you look at it in 1984, it's just a silly comedy. That does have a couple parts that are kind of like, and the parts that didn't age well should be recognized as such. They were wrong, absolutely. But I don't think the movie intended it that way. I say buy it because I bought it.
I bought it.
Yeah, and if I bought it, you should buy it too. I will watch Revenge of the Nerds again, probably a couple times. It's a light comedy filled to the top with nostalgia, and it's just a quick and easy ticket back to the 1980s. Yeah, I did enjoy it. It didn't make me laugh uncontrollably, but I did appreciate it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I would say I wouldn't say buy it at like how much I paid for it. I would buy it at a discount. That would be my official. If you get it for like $8, yeah, that I could save. I say buy it at a discount.
Yeah.
Do not. I paid, I want to say like $15, something like that.
I think I paid like $15 too. These are hard to find.
Yeah, they are hard to find. And that was a little much. But I'm like, if you saw it on Amazon or YouTube or Apple, and it was on for like, Apple has tons of these movies all the time for like $5-7. Yes. If you remember liking it, you'll probably like it again. Yeah.
Mine also includes Revenge of the Nerds 2. Nerds in Paradise.
Oh, Nerds in Paradise. I remember
it was like a 2 for
1.
$1. So it's like I paid $7 or $7.50.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
So I'm not like thrilled about it, but I'm also not mad about it. I think the second half of the movie makes up for the first half. The first half is a little bit slow.
Slow.
It definitely feels like the first half was really just setting up for the second half. Yeah. So I'm like, I get it. You need the first half to get to the second half, and the second half is where I had the most fun and enjoyed it the most. But, the first half has its moments.
Yeah.
Am I going to crave watching this? Probably not. Am I going to watch 2, 3, and 4? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold off on number 2, because we should probably, that could be, we could probably go down number 2 again.
We can definitely do number 2.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm like, well, now I'm like, I think I watched number 2 like years ago. I'm not even 100% sure.
It's been a while ago, but yeah.
So I'm like, and I
never have Ogre in it. Gilbert's in it at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
He's not in it as much as it, but Lamar and Booger and Lewis and Poindexter, I think they're all in there. And Lewis's dad.
Yeah, I think this movie has its moments, and a lot of nostalgia. A lot.
Oh yeah, like I did watch this a lot when I was a kid. Late 80s, early 90s. Yes, I watched this movie a lot.
So I mean, there is something for that,
And it might be better if you're triggered to watch it on TV, because they probably edited to watch that be the only part they didn't take.
I don't think they edit that out, because I
No
remember that watching it on TV and having that in it. But I mean, that is also like, we should totally put a trigger warning on the titles of these so that people understand that we are going to be talking about, because I mean, it is like, now seeing it, you're like, because we've all had those conversations about consent, and we've all had the conversations about like nudes and procuring them and distributing them, and how wrong and illegal that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's no different than someone doing it and then putting on Pornhub.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
or putting on the internet, period, like on Facebook or
yes.
Instagram
And in
or whatever.
1984 there was no internet.
Thank God. Because oh my God.
Oh boy. So I mean, like, we understand that now, but in 1984, everything that happens in this movie was socially not necessarily it was accepted, not celebrated, but it was like, oh, boys will be
being
boys.
boys. Yeah.
Like,
but even girls were like that. Like, oh, they're so silly.
Yeah. They were like, that's just what boys do.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Now we can look back and be like, that's fucked up. But back then you were just like, oh, well, it's just what happens. It's disturbing, but at least this make for a really great conversation, everybody.
Yeah.
And watch the nerds. Also, I had this thought after I watched it. I was like, that felt like a movie about nerds that was written by popular people.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
people who have never been nerds.
Yeah.
Wrote this movie about nerds.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So that is Revenge of the Nerds. Anything you'd like to add about Revenge of the Nerds?
I'm glad I watched it again. There were some very problematic parts. However, overall, it was an enjoyable movie. I mean, I wasn't mad about it. So, but also, I think it would be super interesting to see this remade.
They did try to remake it back in 2006 under Fox Atomic.
Yeah.
And they actually got a cast, they got crew, they started filming, they got kicked out of a university, and they had to go to a smaller university, and then they were getting the dailies, the studios, and they just didn't like it, and they canned it. But it was 2006. I don't know how much would have.
2006. They were probably still going for the 1984 vibe.
Well, and we were getting like Tropic Thunder. We were getting Step Brothers, Ron Burgundy, Adam
That was
Sandler,
the American Pie era.
American Pies. Yeah, so you weren't going to get a tamer. You're probably going to be even more.
No. I think
more raunchy.
I really.
That's fine.
Yeah, raunchy's fine. Give me raunchy. Maybe we just don't have a rape scene in it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Yeah, or make it a little more entertaining, the first half. Like, I'm like, I want 1984's Revenge of the Nerds reworked.
Yeah, you should get like the American Pie guys, writers and producers to
reworked so that when it airs today, you're not left feeling icky about certain parts of the movie. That would be really nice. Because a lot of the movie is great. And then there are certain parts that you're like, oh, God, why'd you do that, you motherfuckers?
All right. So we got to stream it. Well, stream it, maybe skip it.
Yeah.
And buy it at a discount.
This is not a movie for everybody. Like, I want to make that super clear. This is not a movie for everybody.
This is a movie for people that watched it in the 80s and 90s and remember liking it. Yes. You still might not like it now.
Or someone who can watch it through the lens of the time it was done. The time it was made.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, but if you watch it through the lens of like today, you're definitely not going to like it.
No.
It's going to make you angry. Don't do that. Don't make yourself angry.
All right. So thanks for going back to 1984 and watching Revenge of the Nerds. Go and buy it like I did. Spend a bunch of money on it. Yeah. Yeah. If you do Anna's, you get 2 of them. All right. Well, until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,